So first things first, regular green cabbage. Now I love green cabbage. I'm obsessed with it eating raw. I love coleslaw. And it's just a really humble vegetable that is so versatile and you can really use it in so many different ways. So green cabbage, you just start to peel off the outer layers. So all you have to do that is kind of take the butt of your knife, you put a little incision here, and then you peel off the leaf. Now, at this point, we've gotten everything that we could possibly get off of this one before the leaves start to get a little too small. So we have about 6 or 7 leaves, and we need to soften these up because they eventually will get stuffed. So to do that, we just have a little steamer set up over here. And we're gonna kind of arrange them in a flour way so they all cook evenly. And then we'll pop the lid on. So we're just gonna start to steam this. Now, my grandmother, the way she used to do it is she would dunk them in boiling water and not steam them. I find this slightly more tame and a little bit easier, so I prefer this way, but you can also blanch them. So while these steam, we're gonna take the core. So this is not to be wasted. We're gonna chop it up, and this will all go into the casserole and cook with it. So we're just gonna take off the little tough end here. We're gonna cut it in half. We are exposing the core here, so I like to cut them in quarters after, and I just do a little angular cut. We take out the core on all 4. Take care of that. And then here, we're just gonna do a nice little rough dice. So I remember my grandmother first making this for me, and I also remember the first time she ever taught me how to make it. So this dish is an interesting family tradition that I never really learned exactly how to make. It was always that thing that was always made. You would go into her house. The aroma of sauerkraut was quite intense. Luckily, I like sauerkraut. So this is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've actually made it. One time being the time that I had to make it for my cookbook. It's this thing that I don't really feel the need to make at home. Although I do feel the need for you to make it at home. My grandmother would always use Jimmy Dean's sausage. Fantastic, very tasty, but we're gonna do things just a little bit differently and we're kind of making our own. So I'm starting with ground beef and ground pork. I like the flavor contrast. I think it's a lovely textural contrast and different fat contents. So now we're gonna spice this all up. So we're gonna do a little bit of hot paprika, a little bit of smoked paprika, and a little bit of sweet paprika. Some ground coriander, a little bit of ground fennel, some red pepper flakes. I like it spicy, so more red pepper flakes. A touch of grated garlic. Now I like to grate the garlic and grate the onions that go in here because you want all that juice and all the paste that it develops. And then our grated just white onion. And again, when you grate it just literally on a box grater, totally fine. And then we're gonna add some just plain long grain rice. It's completely raw. And then a good pinch of salt. So before we go stuffing it and doing all this time of rolling it and taking all the time and realizing 5 hours later it just came out of the oven and it doesn't taste good, we're going to take a little tester. We'll cook it in a pan. And we'll give it a taste for seasoning. And if we need to add any more sweetness or saltiness, we can do that at that time. We're just gonna abandon the paddle. And we're gonna go in with our hands. Okay, so we'll mix this all up. Okay, so Grandma always made it. My aunt has made it for me like 2 or 3 times. My mother's made it once. I think my mom would make it more often if she didn't mind the house smelling like sauerkraut, but she does mind. And it was a big point of contention in our household. She wouldn't make it because she didn't want the house to smell. Valid. Okay, so we're gonna take a little bit. We don't even need to add fat. We have a nonstick pan here, it's fine. And then we're gonna fry up a little patty. So meanwhile, while that's all cooking, now there's a thing so my cousins and I would always fit into my grandmother's mildly modest small home. So there's a big dining room where like all the grown-ups sat, and then there was the kids' table, and naturally I was I mean, I was the youngest, so naturally the smallest compact human. So I sat on this little step stool, and it was the same step stool that I would stand on to look into the pot of the braised cabbage. So that would be my dinner chair. And I remember one year, my cousin lit a napkin on fire, and it became this thing that was synonymous with the cabbage rolls. And she literally took a paper napkin, held it over the candle, and lit it on fire. And it's become like the best kind of Christmas memory or Easter memory, whichever one it was, with the stuffed cabbage rolls. So basically, if you make this and you light something on fire, you're reliving my childhood tenfold. Highly recommend it. So when we go to taste this, please remember that you have raw rice in there, so it is a little crunchy. It's not gonna kill you, you'll be fine. But just know that there is raw rice. So to find this recipe, both the cucumbers and the stuffed cabbage, you can find the link below, or you can also find it in Kristen Kish Cooking Recipes and Techniques. Okay, so let's just hope for no pink. Okay, so we are back now with the assembly portion of our stuffed cabbage. So the leaves that we steamed, you can see, are quite pliable. They're gonna be a lot easier to roll. If you were to try to roll a raw green cabbage leaf, they would crack. So these are perfect. So we're gonna take some of our meat mixture. There's no right or wrong amount of meat, I guess. I think whatever kind of fits in there is the way to go. So we'll maybe start like that. So I start at the hardcore part, and then I'm gonna roll away from me to the softer outer end of the leaf. So we're gonna start it here. I'm gonna tuck it in. You roll it kind of like a burrito. So tuck in the side leaves, and then I'm just gonna roll it fairly tight on top of itself. And then when we put it into our baking dish, we're gonna go seam side down, which is where the seam is, hence seam side down. We're gonna put it down so it doesn't pop open. We'll do one more. So we'll take this mix. And I do remember, I've watched my grandmother do the building portion of this so many times, but what I remember the most is the smell of the house. She lived about an hour away from where I grew up, and my parents would always drop me off there. So my grandmother had the pure luxury of watching me when I was a child. And so a lot of times she would, have this process going, and then I would sit in the blue chair in her living room, smelling the sauerkraut, everything about the house was warm. And I would eat little fruit jelly candies that were all individually wrapped. And I would take the wrappers and I would stuff them in the blue chair. So she couldn't tell how many candies I ate. Well, obviously it's grandmother, and she knew that I was eating all the candies because they were disappearing from the bowl, but I thought I was being smart at the time. So once I got through all the candy, and by the time that, I felt mildly sick from that, it was time for very, very savory, salty cabbage rolls, which was absolutely perfect. So if you don't like sauerkraut, I recommend maybe you just don't make it, but if also, you could use water or chicken stock or just all tomato juice, that's fine. Now, my grandmother would stop at sauerkraut, and then that's it, it would go in the oven. But we're gonna take it a couple steps further, and I like to add a little bit of tomato juice. I like the inherent sweetness that it has as it cooks, but you could certainly leave it out. And then we're gonna add our leftover cabbage. We're gonna tuck this in, kind of using it to separate the cabbage leaves. So you can find the recipe in the link below, or in Kristen Kish Cooking Recipes and Techniques. Kristen Kish. So we're gonna add the cabbage raw on top because it's a good way to use the leftover cabbage so we don't waste it. And as it cooks, it braises down, and sauerkraut is just fermented cabbage, so we might as well add other variations of different cabbages. In my perfect world, sauerkraut could live on anything and everything, and quite frankly, sort of does. I absolutely love it. I honestly, I know this is gonna sound stupid, but I think that fermented cabbage is in my blood, even though it's definitely not kimchi or Korean by any means. I think there's something inside of me, it's certainly in my blood, that I love this flavor profile. So we have our cabbage, we're gonna press it in, and then we're gonna take some bacon. Now, again, grandma didn't do the bacon. If you don't eat bacon, you certainly don't have to use it. You could do the filling with all beef and keep it pork free, but I think it's pretty dang delicious. So we're gonna take the bacon, and I'm just gonna make it fit on top. And so as this cooks, the bacon starts to release all that fat and juice, and it just starts to constantly baste these cabbage rolls, which sounds pretty delicious. It's a nice flavor. So we could probably fit one more. So I'm just folding it over so it fits into the pan. So if you had a larger casserole, you could certainly lay it straight. I'm just literally just trying to get all the bacon in there so I don't waste any. Okay, so what does bacon need? Bacon needs a butter blanket of sorts, of course. So we're gonna take our butter, we're gonna take a little piece of foil, and we're just gonna spread some butter over the top, just to ensure it doesn't stick. You could probably just omit all of this if you wanted to keep it dairy-free, but I feel like why not? Why not add it? Okay. Perfect. So we're gonna take the butter-lined foil, and then we're just gonna kind of crimp it over the edges. Make sure you end up with a tight enough seal where all that moisture, because essentially you're just braising in this pan, doesn't all escape. So, like that. And we're gonna pop it into an oven, and it's gonna cook for about 2.5, 3 hours. And then when we come back, I'm gonna finish the cucumbers, and that is the final last step outside of eating. Okay, so one little note that we haven't seen yet is that after about 2.5 hours, the last 30 minutes of the cook time, you do want to take that foil off so the bacon can cook up and crisp up really nicely. So we have our cabbage, and it looks amazing and perfect. It smells fantastic. You get like the fermenty sauerkraut plus all the bacon, a little bit of sweetness on the tomato. So we're gonna let this hang out for a minute. It does need to cool down. It's blazing hot. So to come over here. Now, dismantling this situation is first remembering which direction you put the cabbage rolls. So you don't wanna go right into the center of them. So I'm gonna figure out which way they went. Ah, they went this way. Perfect. So what we'll do is, we'll actually put this a little closer. Now, I was, believe it or not, I'm very impatient in life, in cooking especially, and when it comes to me being hungry and wanting to eat, very impatient. So as a child, it would come literally blazing out of the oven. But that's why I think my grandmother served it with cold, refreshing cucumbers, because you burn your mouth and then you cool it down, and then you burn your mouth and you cool it down. You just keep going back and forth. So put it all on one plate together. It's definitely worth it. So because I am who I am, I'm gonna go to. Eating these cold is also very delicious. So we're gonna get some of this cabbage here. Make sure you get all the sauerkraut, all the health properties of things, or, you know, whatever. Okay. Now the bacon is basically like braised bacon at this point, so it's really soft, it's quite tender, and a little crispy around the edges. So we'll add a little bit of that.